Hi, Shira. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Gemma, for having me.
Great. So just to start off, could you introduce yourself and what you do for a job?
So I'm the group director of data science for Global Fashion Group, and there are so many groups there, so I won't repeat that again. And I take care of the data science team for GFG, as we'll call it. And GFG is the parent company of the Iconic in Australia, New Zealand, Lamoda in Russia, Zalora in Southeast Asia, and Dafiti in Latin America. For those of you who know, the Iconic is we sell clothing and footwear online, and so GFG is the parent company that sells clothing and footwear in 17 countries across the world. And in my role as the group director of data science, I have three roles, and I call my role the ABC role. So the A role is advisory. So I advise the CEOs and then senior leadership on what decisions to and how to make decisions using data and how to justify what they're trying to do. So that's the advisory role. B is I build, which means I build a team that actually is a set of much smarter people than me who come in and solve these problems at scale. So it's not just one person problem. You have solved so many problems. So I build a team. So that's the B. And C is I create things. So I myself sit down and code and create algorithms and dashboards and analysis so that people can be helped to make better decisions. So that's my role. The ABCs of my role are advising, building, and creating. So that's what I do.
Great. And so you said you're the head of data science. Just in really sort of easy to understand way, could you explain what a data scientist is?
So the way, and we have this typical question that we ask our potential candidates when they join us. So when I interview for someone, I ask them, how would you explain data science to your 83-year-old grandma who has no idea about data or science? Like she might know science, but she might know what data is. So the way I explain what data science is it's a at the end of the day, what we do is we help people make smarter decisions. So everybody makes decisions every day, and we make decisions. You made a decision on what to wear for this interview. I made a decision on what to wear for this interview. What do we eat for lunch? So we make decisions so many times, micro decisions. Similarly, at businesses, the chief executive or the leadership makes decisions on where do we go next and how much money do we spend on this kind of marketing campaign or what do we sell next. So all these decisions are always going to be made. What if these decisions could be made with the help of data? And that's something that we help people with. We provide the data backing. We provide it could be in the form of a dashboard, an analysis, an algorithm, whatever it is. We provide that to the leadership and to even to non-leadership people who are making day-to-day decisions, and then they can make smarter decisions. So that's what a data science team does, and that's what me and the team do. We work on pieces of work that shine a light on a problem by finding answers. We showcase why something is not going well, or we actually find out what drives something to go better. And so we shine a light on that and people make smart decisions on the back of that.
Okay, thank you. And what are some of the main skills that you need to become a data scientist?
So I'd say there are three things that you need to be a data scientist. One is a lot of common sense. And as the common saying goes, common sense is not common. The funny thing is, it's just about how do you think about everything logically? Like if you're given a problem, how do you approach it without getting bogged down by data or tech or anything else? How would you approach it very logically? Like, so if I ask you to find out something very basic, like how many red cars are there in Sydney, without saying, no, you don't know how many red cars are there, what is a red car, without going to all of that, how do people approach a problem like that? And that's typically an interview question too, right? Like, and so you might say, okay, typically there are so many people and there could be so many cars per person, and then out of these there are so many colors. And so how are you working it out logically, and how do you approach it? So that's number one. Number two is a basic ability to do programming, because a lot of work that we do is programming. We try to program our answers. We try to program our data to find answers, and although you can find answers manually by putting it in Excel and stuff like that, it's much harder, and we solve much bigger problems, and you need to have programming skills to do that. Not any programming skill. Any programming skill is fine, not any particular programming skill. As long as you know one programming language, you can learn the other one pretty easily. And the third thing is an ability and a willingness to unlearn something that you know. So a lot of people think that to become a data scientist, you have to do all these 10 courses and 15 tools and stuff like that. And we pretty much tell people, don't worry about any of that. Just come with an open mind, be willing to unlearn everything you know and relearn something that's new. And I use myself as the example. When I started in my career, I learned a bunch of tools, and halfway through my career, somebody said these are no longer going to be relevant in the next 10 years, and I had to relearn completely. And midway through my career, I relearned R and Python and all these new data engineering skills that were not probably pretty relevant back then. And so it's a continuously evolving space. So those three things: a common sense, programming skill set, and a willingness to learn and unlearn. So those are the three things that you need.
Okay, and in terms of study pathways to a career in data science, are you looking for, because it sounds like you interview people for data science jobs in your job a little bit, are you looking for people with a particular background, or do you draw on people from, different degrees, different fields, as long as they kind of can show
It's
those skills?
Yep. So there is no constraint on what program. So we've had people who've done veterinary science and then said they've got the bug to do data analysis, and he said, "I just can't deal with sick dogs anymore." Fine, like he's that's fine. Like if that's what you don't want to do, you don't want to do. So it's completely open. We've never forced somebody needs to have a, because those courses are also so few and far between. I can't say you have to have done a master's in data science or a bachelor's in data science or not even computer science. Basically, when you appear for the interview, we'll have a chat. I can sense if you approach problem logically. You should have basic programming skill, and everybody can pick that up. As long as those two are there, it's completely fine for an entry level job.
Yeah, that's so interesting. What do you like most about working in data science or being a data scientist?
I think I really like solving something. Like I've always liked solving a problem, and trying to shine a light on. So and the best way to think about it is if you're searching for something in your house, you misplace your keys, and when somebody finds it for you, you feel happy that you found it. The person who finds it for you feels happy they found it. Like like to think that we have so much information hidden in our data sets and databases, and I can find it out and give it to someone, and they're like, yes, this is exactly what we need. And so that aha moment that everyone has, across the board, when they have that aha moment, it's very rewarding for the work we do, and that's the best part I like about my job.
I can imagine. Are there any particularly exciting new areas or innovations that you've come across in the field of data science right now?
So there's a lot of work going on in what we call computer vision problems, and a lot of going on in trying to solve uh, imitating a human problem. So some examples are computer vision problems. The best example is the Amazon Go store. If you think about it, you can walk into a store. You don't have to scan anything when you get out. The cameras everywhere know what you bought, and they can automatically detect stuff. So based on where you move and how you move and what you pick up, nobody has to look at it. So that's an amazing example of a computer vision problem. All the self-driving cars are computer vision problems. And similarly, on the other end, how do you behave like a human being, or like understanding human language, human intent, understanding human handwriting, understanding what I'm trying to tell you, and try to have a conversation with me. Those are all really exciting areas that are going ahead. Not to say that the other areas are boring. It's just that these are new areas where it might, if we keep at it, maybe we'll very soon reach a computer that's more sentient, that can understand what you're saying and help us solve problems much faster and at scale, and help us from not doing boring work. So that's a cool area.
Wow, that sounds really cool. So the computer vision side was the example you gave is going into an actual bricks and mortar store, and not, is that
Yeah.
what and not having to.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, if you look up, I probably won't give names, but if you look up, there are so many uh, companies that are actually offering that as a service. So for example, even Woolies and Coles are already talking to people where you can just walk into the store, buy anything you need, and everything is taken care of by the computer vision program. So that'll be pretty cool.
They're really cool. And there's that additional incentive right now with COVID and trying to reduce contact, that might help that technology take off. Fascinating. And just to, I think, just to finish off, do you have any words of advice for whether for a high school student or maybe a career changer who is looking to get into data science?
So one thing I tell people is definitely pick up a programming skill. Don't worry about a tool or any particular application. Just pick up a programming skill, because that will automatically teach you a lot of common sense. Programming is all about logic. Pick up one programming skill, pick up whatever you like and whatever language you like. And two is, there are so many openly available data sets and openly available courses and everything else. So pick up some, instead of doing a course and just getting certificates, what I tell people is just pick up a data set. So like COVID data set is the best example, or domestic transport for NSW makes so much data sets available. Like everybody makes data sets available. Pick something, try to analyze it, see what you can find, write about it, talk about it. And I think when we typically recruit people, we just look through their repository. Just like when you hire a photographer, you look through their, what do you call that? A portfolio of what they've done. I think this will act as a really good portfolio of your work. Some people, you don't even need to build a resume. You just send them the GitHub link that has everything. So that's pretty cool. And you might have picked up some skills on the way. So I think that's definitely something worth thinking about and doing.
Great. So get those programming skills, and then And then if you have those other skills you mentioned, you could be a good candidate for this career.
Definitely, yeah. Yep.
And well, I said that was the last question, but you do recommend this career by the sounds of it. You know, if someone's thinking about what to do in a career in STEM, you recommend data science.
Definitely, and it's given what's happening with COVID and everything else, I think there's a bigger demand now because everyone wants to know what do we do next and how do we do it and what has gone wrong and where should we change. And these questions are coming up more and more often and at a bigger frequency. And so you need the people to come in and help with the right skill set. So there's definitely going to be demand for more data scientists, at least in the next 5 to 10 years, if not more.
Great. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Shira. That's been really helpful.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me, Gemma.